And the public sector, well, as you know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer has just announced 3.5% more available for next year's public pay bill. And before you say that's not much, just remember, for the German civil service, it's not going to be 3.5%, but 2%. And for Japan, well, the Japanese civil servants are getting no rise at all. So maybe that will put the 3.5% in perspective. But it's important to keep wage costs down, to accept new technology. If it's important to do all that, then good management and good industrial relations are vital to our future. We heard a lot at Blackpool about how Labour would work with the unions. Of course they don't really mean that. What they mean is a cosy get-togethers at number 10. That's the old Pals Act. It has nothing to do with life on the shop floor, and that's where the real problems are sorted out. When I travel overseas, time and again they say to me, "Strikes, you have so many strikes. If it weren't for that, we'd give you more contracts. We'd invest more in Britain." In vain do I say the private industry has very few strikes. But the fact is that the much publicized disruptions in the public sector do Britain down every time. I only wish that some of those trade union members on strike in the public sector would realize how many jobs their actions lose. Oh, not necessarily their own jobs, but the jobs of people in manufacturing industries whose taxes pay their wages. We can't say it too often. Strikes lose jobs. Mr. President, it's going to take a long time to get employment up sufficiently in order to get unemployment down as far as we all want. The task is even harder because we're going through a phase in Britain when the number of people of working age is rising. There are many more young people leaving school and wanting jobs than there are older people reaching retirement. Over a period of 8 years, there will be 1.25 million extra people of working age. So even without the recession, we should have needed a lot more new jobs just to stop the number of unemployed rising. That shows you the magnitude of the task. Today's unemployed are the victims of yesterday's mistakes. Government destroyed jobs by fueling inflation. Trade unions destroyed jobs by restrictive practices. Militants destroyed jobs by driving customers away. But that's the past. And whatever the problems, we've got to tackle them. Not with words, not with rhetoric, but with action. Rhetoric's easy. It doesn't produce jobs. Indeed, if rhetoric could cure unemployment, we'd have jobs galore by this time. Now, for the future, you heard from Norman Tebbit that every 16-year-old who leaves school next year will either have a job or a year of full-time training. Unemployment will not then be an option, and that is right. But of course, the government can't do everything. If we are to beat unemployment, and we must, we've got to do it together. The government's getting inflation down, interest rates down, reforming trade union law, cutting regulations and moving restrictions. The rest is up to industry, the workforce and management in partnership, because in the end, it is private employers who will produce the great majority of jobs. Mr. President, time and again, history beats out the same message. Competition is better for the consumer than state control.